How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Black Metal Rebellion. I'm your host, Jesse Morgan, aka Slammerella, and today we got a new mic. I'm not sure if it works. How's it sound if I'm this close? Anyways, today we have a punk and metal collection update. Sorry, it's been a few days. I've been playing some of my old Minecraft realm, and my son also has his Xbox Live hooked up, so he's been helping me do some terraforming and basically collecting a bunch of sand for a desert temple we're going to make, and eventually try to explore some surrounding villages. But yeah, so today we've got about 5 or 6 albums to show off, and the first couple really, is a bunch of Wednesday 13 projects that I figured I might as well just get out of the way first, and then some stuff you guys might actually want to stick around to the end to see, because it's something you might like, of course, as with every video. Alright, so the first one came in actually today, and a good way to start things off is with Wednesday 13's second project, if you count Maniac Spider Trash as the first one. This is Frankenstein Drag Queens from Planet 13. Alright, well, now I'm going to figure out where I'm going to have to hold this thing with the mic. So yeah, here we go. This is Wednesday 13's Frankenstein Drag Queens from Planet 13, the first album, the Late Show, and this is a 2000s era repress. I'm not exactly sure what, I think it might be 2010 repress, but this album originally came out in 1996, and they started in the same year, so they got to work right away, apparently, composing a bunch of different songs that made it onto this. As you can see on the back, here's the track list there, with some pretty interesting artwork. Not sure if any of this artwork ended up on the original release. The original release just was a black cover that had all of the band members' faces in drag, obviously, on the front. None of this kind of crazy monster artwork, which I actually really enjoy. Now, if you're a fan of Wednesday 13's Frankenstein Drag Queens from Planet 13 project, you'll know that there's a bunch of re-releases and a bunch of original versions. I'm going to assume that all of the original versions were the ones with just the band members on the front cover, and the re-releases were the ones where the monsters and drawn animated look started coming into play. There's a picture of the band there. Fucking love that look. It's very creepy, very just slightly unnerving. For whatever reason, I'm getting a House of a Thousand Corpses feel from it a bit. Maybe a little bit of Marilyn Manson vibes from some of the makeup. But yeah, really good band that started after the folding of Maniac Spider Trash, and it's not quite as polished as Wednesday 13's solo project that started after the Murderdolls, and it's not obviously anywhere near as polished as the Murderdolls was, but it's some really good horror punk stuff, and these guys originated from North Carolina, USA. I got the second album as well, that being Night of the Living Drag Queens. Glad to finally own the first album. It was hard enough to track down, let alone getting a copy of the original cover art and all that, but it is what it is. I'm just happy to have this, even if it does say Wednesday 13's Frankenstein Drag Queens instead of the eponymous title Frankenstein Drag Queens from Planet 13. But either way, it's still the Late Show. Cool album. Has a really interesting selection of songs too. Some of them that did feature on a Murderdolls album later on, 1976-66 and Kill Miss America being those titles that made it onto the first album of the Murderdolls. And then there's a couple of really cool ones on here as well. The Wolfman Stole My Baby, 13th Commandment, and I Dismember Mama. I'm assuming that is a Dinosaurs reference, if you've ever seen that old show. Yeah, cool that I got this. Definitely check out Frankenstein Drag Queens from Planet 13 if you like Wednesday 13 or the Murderdolls. Speaking of the Murderdolls, finally got in a copy of their second album, Women and Children Last. This one is just as good as the first one. Albeit, maybe not so many super memorable hits. I really did enjoy a few of the tracks though. Drag Me to Hell, Death Valley Superstars, Bloodstained Valentine, Homicide Drive, etc. I was really hoping that they had, I love to say fuck on here, but apparently that's on the deluxe version of Beyond the Valley of the Murder Dolls. So I guess I'm missing out on the official physical release of that track, but nonetheless, glad to have a copy of the second Murder Dolls album on here. Murder Dolls started in 2002, and they're based out of California, USA, mostly because of the other members, including one, Joey Jordison from Slipknot. I know a lot of people are clamoring for a Murder Dolls reunion, and it would make a lot of sense considering Joey Jordison isn't in Slipknot anymore to at least team up with Wednesday 13 once again for something. So yeah, really interesting project that I really hope returns one day, and as I assume a lot of you probably would too if you're watching this and enjoying the Wednesday 13th projects. But yeah, Murder Dolls, really cool high production version basically of the Frankenstein drag queens with their own unique twist here and there because of Joey Jordison and the other members. Alright, and the last Wednesday 13 thing we got is a Wednesday 13 solo project release, and that is the 7th album from 2017, Condolences. So if you're keeping up from my last video, yeah, I missed a couple of albums in between, like Dixie Dead and Monsters of the Universe Come Out and Play, but don't worry, I'll eventually get those in my collection too. These were just the cheapest at the time, so I got them. Yeah, not really too much crazy on the inside. The tracks though do get a little darker than what you're used to. Like this, at this point, they've already started going into the horror metal side of things, not just horror punk. So there's some down-tuned guitars, some kind of dissonant, kind of darker riffs and tone, especially Condolences, the self-titled track. Really crazy stuff. I really enjoy the more metal side of Wednesday 13. Even if they do stray a little away from the punk, it's still horror punk, horror metal in my eyes. But yeah, lots of great stuff. Cadaverous, What the Night Brings, Condolences, obviously, Pray for Me. You know, lots of good tracks on this. But yeah, highly recommend Wednesday 13's Condolences if you kind of dropped off after the first couple albums being Transylvania 90210, Fang Bang, or Calling All Corpses, which was in the last punk update that I had. But yeah, definitely check them out. Check out Monsters of the Universe Come and Plague. Check out Dixie Dead. Check out Condolences. They're all mostly really good releases, and you'll find probably one or two really cool tracks off of the album at least. I'm really enjoying Condolences. Eventually need to get those other albums as well. And yeah, Wednesday 13 solo project, if you don't know, came into play after the ending of Murder Dolls in 2004. So that's when the solo project Wednesday 13 started, was in 2004. All right, moving on to something that is a little bit more mainstream, a little bit more something that you probably come to this channel for. Municipal Waste. Now, I recently got the Municipal Waste Slime and Punishment shirt, and I'm like, fuck, I don't actually own any albums by Municipal Waste. I better change that. So I got this one. I think it was only 10 bucks shipped here in Canada, possibly from Alberta. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, so I got a copy of this finally. The case did come a little busted. So there we go. There's the band there and the CD. Not much behind the tray except the Municipal Waste logo, but it's a classic logo, so there you go. There's a quick little gander at it. So yeah, Municipal Waste, if you don't know, is a crossover thrash band. So once again, adding some punk into my metal. Crossover thrash that started in 2001, hailing from Virginia, USA. They also have 5 other LPs in the collection and 4 EPs. So if Slime and Punishment is your first delve into Municipal Waste, definitely check out other albums. My friend Andrea, aka Andy Toxic, recommends Hazardous Mutation. That is a really good album, and I definitely plan on picking that up sometime. So if this isn't quite your tea, definitely check out the older stuff. Those are really good albums, but I at least have this in my collection so I could justify having this shirt, which you probably saw in another video. But yeah, really fucking bright. I had to get this one. There's a bunch of different shirts at my local Now and Then music shop, but this one definitely stood out to me. Really, really cool. And now I'm glad to have an album by Municipal Waste finally in my collection, even if it's not really the best one in my opinion. I do listen to Municipal Waste quite a bit. Hazardous Mutation is definitely one of the better albums, and Fatal Feast is really good too if you're looking for a newer era one. But yes, the earlier Municipal Waste is definitely better Municipal Waste. Alright, moving on to something you probably haven't heard of, because I didn't really hear about this project until I started looking up steampunk stuff and being into steampunk stuff. And the next project is an all-female steampunk metal / power metal band with the odd hints of down-tuned heaviness going on here and there as well. And I'm talking about Fate Gear from Tokyo, Japan. Really, really good project. If you, once again, are into steampunk, they definitely use a lot of that theme going on, dress-wise, instrument-wise, and lyrical themes if you do catch the English versions, mostly in Japanese though. And the only place you can order these albums are either from Discogs or from JapanCD.com. I'll put a link in the description box below if my editing self remembers to do so. So you can check out and get a copy yourself. But this is their second album from 2017. And these run, ooh boy, for me it was about $35 Canadian plus shipping. So it's a little expensive, but I really, really enjoy it. And it is pretty unique. And for someone who's not really into traditional heavy metal or especially power metal, it had to have caught my eye for me to spend that much money on it. So highly recommend you checking it out. Again, this is their second album from 2017. They do have another album before this called A Light in the Black from 2015. Good luck getting your hands on it though, as it's out of print, not on the Japan CD site, not on the fategear.com official website, and nowhere to be seen on Discogs. So if it ever pops up and you have the money, grab it, because it's not going to be around very long. I can only imagine the price that it's going to run for though. I'm assuming maybe 60 US and up plus shipping. So I'm probably never going to own that album. Probably just have to stream it if I can even find it, because that might not even be on YouTube. So if you're a collector or someone who likes to hunt down rare and hard to find albums, that'll be one to check out and find. After this album, they have an album called 7 Years Ago. That was in 2018. That's their second album, of course. I will probably eventually track it down. After 7 Years Ago, they also have an EP called Headless Goddess. It's a little heavier than the Oz Rebellion album, and I'm going to chalk that up to it being a bunch of Destros covers. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. There's the track list there. But yeah, everything besides Mega Bullets is a Destros cover. And they're a little bit heavier and a little bit more chuggier and beefier than the album before it, or the couple albums before it. So if you're looking for a little heavier version of Fate Gear, check out the Headless Goddess EP. I believe I got this one off of Amazon, also around $35, $40 in total after shipping and all that in Canadian currency. So if you're a US citizen or pay for things in US dollars on the regular, it might not be as expensive for you, but this was hella expensive for my budget, but almost worth it, because the tracks on here are really, really, really good, and I love the bonus track Mega Bullets, so mostly worth it. There's the inside here with the slightly different colored artwork and the OBI strip that I stick inside there. But yeah, this one came out in 2019 and was their first EP. After this came the most recent album, being called The Sky Prison, that came out in 2021. And they also have a new EP, or a second EP, called Scars in My Life English Edition. So it has probably the Scars in My Life track that was on the Oz Rebellion album, but it's the English version, as well as I think 4 or 5 other songs that are either remastered or also done in English, so that us North Americans can actually understand it, because not many of us speak hardcore Japan. Unless you're an anime nerd, then maybe you know a little bit, but that's all I have for the Fate gear. I do have one more thing after this, but I do want to recommend you guys at least go check out Fate gear. I'll have a link or two in the description box below. I don't know how much recognition they're getting over here in North America. If you've heard of them, let me know. And if you have heard of them and you listen to them, let me know what you think of their music. I know it's not like thrash or black metal or slam, which is why most people come here, but give it a shot. Let me know what you think. If you're into Nightwish, you should probably dig it. If you're into any sort of J-pop or J-metal, it might strike your interest and you might know of it. What do you think of Fate gear? And do you like the steampunk aesthetic? Because I know I sure as fuck do. Alright, getting on to the last album in this collection update. Either you like this band or you hate this band. I really enjoy them. I got into them back when they released Blood Red Sandman back in the day, and I was introduced to them through Hard Rock Hallelujah, aka the Apocalypse album. And the band that I'm talking about, if you haven't guessed yet, is Lordi. This is one that I hadn't heard of too much. This is Monstereophonic with Theaterror versus Demonarchy. It is a clash of a couple different styles on this album, being their 8th album, by the way, from 2016. Theaterror is the usual Lordi deal and their usual sound and trying to do what Lordi normally does. And then on Demonarchy, they do some more experimental, I guess, sounds and genres and song lengths. A lot of them are about 5 minutes or longer. Yeah, there's 5 minutes or longer, 6, 7 minutes even, with The Night the Monsters Died. Honestly, if you're into Lordi, this isn't really the greatest album. You might like the Hug You Hardcore song, which is the most unique and different track that's on this album. The last one before this, I believe, was Scare Force 1. But yeah, it's not got as many standout tracks as the usual Scare Force 1, Babes for Breakfast albums, but it does have a really cool take on some old sounding tracks and some new sounding tracks. Or if you're just a completionist and you want to get all of Lordi's stuff like I do, you're going to eventually have to pick up Monstereophonic anyways. I enjoy it for what it is. Hug You Hardcore is obviously the best and heaviest track on here. There's some really cool songs as well that aren't as standout-ish, and there's also some kind of slow, forgettable things. But all in all, it's a middle-of-the-road, alright Lordi album. And again, they're a pretty good, catchy, heavy metal, hard rock, post-thrash sometimes metal band from Finland that started in 1992. They even have kind of like an unreleased album, Bend Over and Pray the Lord. But yeah, there's a lot to collect from these guys. I forgot to show the inside. Sorry about that. The coolest part of the band, obviously, is the masks and the overall demon monster outfit look that they got going on. And Lordi even has a horror movie called Dark Floors, if you want to check it out, from Ghost House Production, I think. But yeah, really cool outfits and masks. I really enjoy bands that really go for that theatrical extra mile when it comes to the music. And some of their stage live shows must be sick to see live. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to see one because I don't know how often they come to Canada, especially now during a pandemic. It's going to be a while, but yeah. And this guy here, I want to mention, Amen Ra. He's got a solo project that either is out or he's working on that I can't wait. Ra's Dynasty or Amen's Dynasty or Amen Ra's Dynasty, something like that. I'll put it up on the screen here. But I want to check that out as soon as it comes out. If anyone knows if there's a release date on that or something, let me know, of course. But yeah, this is Lordi with Monstereophonic. An interesting 8th album by the Finnish hard rock metal band. They've got about 10 albums in total too, the most recent being Sexorcism that came out in 2018, or Killection, which is what do they say, an imagined best of album from the 80s that never got released. So yeah, they even come up with ideas like having a pretend best of album from the 80s if Lordi were around back then to make music and release it. So that came out in 2020. So I got 2 more albums to collect from this project, and you'll probably see them in future updates soon-ish. But yeah, let me know what you think of Lordi. Do you love him? Do you hate him? Are you kind of over the whole monster gimmick? Or do you love that shit like I do? Let me know. So anyways, that's it for this long-ass collection update. Hope you guys enjoy. I've got some really cool stuff coming in the mail soon. Thank you, Google AdSense. But yeah, as soon as it comes, I'll do an unboxing and a kind of first glance review at it. If you know the name Demonia, that might let you know what is coming soon, as well as a couple of other unique things that you might want to see on this channel. So lots of interesting stuff coming in the future. Cheers. Thanks for subscribing, liking, and sharing with your friends. Would help the channel greatly. I don't ever do this plug shit, so maybe send your girl a bone. But yeah, that's it for me. For Glory, for the Rebel Alliance, Slammerella out. I almost punched the new mic.